You are exhausted not because your life is too heavy, but because you spend every waking hour trying to force the river of your existence to flow backward. You are fighting a quiet, invisible war against the natural rhythm of things, and it is slowly breaking your spirit. If you are tired of this endless, silent struggle and want to find a place of genuine rest, I invite you to subscribe to the Psyche Unfolding channel, so we can walk this deeply personal path together. Think about how you wake up in the morning. Even before your eyes are fully open to the light of the room, there is a sudden, sharp tightening in your chest. A mental list rolls out in your mind, long and incredibly heavy. You immediately start calculating, anticipating, bracing for impact. You clench your jaw. You tighten your fists under the blankets. You step out of bed, not as a human being waking up to a beautiful new morning, but as a tired soldier stepping onto a chaotic battlefield. You have somehow convinced yourself over the years that the only way to survive, the only way to achieve anything of value or keep yourself safe, is to push, to pull, to strictly control, and to manipulate every single outcome around you. You believe that if you let go of the steering wheel for even a fraction of a second, your entire life will violently steer off a steep cliff and shatter into 1,000 unrecoverable pieces. This is the heavy burden you carry with you every single second of the day. It is a massive backpack filled with heavy stones of your own making, stones meticulously labelled with the illusion of absolute control. You wear this agonizing burden so constantly that the deep, burning ache in your shoulders has simply become your normal state of being. You look at your complex relationships, your demanding career, your personal growth, and your daily tasks, and you treat them all like massive boulders that you must forcefully push up an incredibly steep, muddy hill. Every single day, you put your tired shoulder against the cold, unyielding stone, your feet slipping in the wet dirt, your muscles burning with fatigue, and you push with all your might. And sometimes the boulder moves a few centimeters forward, but mostly it just slowly crushes your spirit. You are so profoundly tired. I know you are. I have been there, sitting alone in the dark, staring at the shadows on the wall, wondering why everything feels so incredibly hard and unfair. Wondering why every tiny step forward seems to require tearing off a piece of my own soul. We are constantly taught that relentless struggle is the only valid currency that buys peace or success. We are told that we must hack our way through the dense, thorny forest of our problems with a dull blade, bleeding and sweating, forcing a path where there is absolutely no path to be found. But what if this desperate, violent thrashing is exactly what is making you drown? Imagine a terribly frightened person falling into a deep, dark body of freezing water. Their immediate primal instinct is absolute panic. They flail their arms wildly. They kick their legs violently against the current. They gasp and swallow bitter water, fighting the massive weight of the lake with everything they have. and in their violent, terrifying struggle to stay above the surface, they rapidly exhaust their muscles, they lose their precious breath, and they begin to sink into the blackness. Their own frantic effort is the very thing pulling them under the waves. You are doing this in your own life right now. You are flailing in the deep waters of your own existence, terrified of going under, entirely unaware that the water itself is completely capable of holding you up and carrying you safely to the distant shore if you would only stop fighting it. Let us sit quietly with this disturbing but vital thought for a moment. What if the most powerful, transformative action you could possibly take right now is to stop trying so desperately? What if true, undeniable strength does not look like a white-knuckled clenched fist, but a soft, open hand? I want to share a quiet, deeply personal observation with you. Something I realized during a long, agonizing, sleepless night when the sheer weight of the world felt absolutely unbearable. I realized that the universe simply does not operate on force. It operates on natural flow. Look at the immense, quiet world around us. There is a profound, silent, terrifyingly beautiful efficiency in how things grow and move. A towering oak tree does not nervously strain to grow taller. It simply absorbs the warm sunlight and drinks the cold rain, expanding naturally and effortlessly at its own perfect pace. The seasons do not rush or fight to replace one another. A harsh winter gently and inevitably melts into a soft spring, taking its time, never anxious, never once being late. And yet, everything gets done perfectly. Everything reaches its ultimate destination. There is a profound secret to living that we have collectively forgotten in our constant panic. It is the delicate art of effortless action. It is the profound, quiet mastery of aligning your own energy with the deep current instead of exhausting yourself, swimming against it. Imagine a beautiful piece of raw, untamed wood. If you take a sharp, carving knife and try to forcefully slice directly against the natural grain of the wood, the sharp blade catches abruptly. The wood splinters painfully. Your hand aches terribly from the harsh resistance, and the final result is jagged, ruined, and ugly. But if you take that exact same knife and gently guide it along the natural grain, smoothly, following the delicate lines that are already painted there by nature, the wood falls away like soft, warm clay. It requires only a tiny fraction of your energy, yet the result is smooth, beautiful, and deeply satisfying to the touch. This is exactly how we must urgently learn to navigate our weary days. You do not need to forcefully kick doors open. When a situation is completely locked, when a painful relationship is entirely gridlocked, when a terrifying problem seems absolutely unsolvable, your immediate instinct is to blindly reach for a heavy iron hammer, fine it, and violently shatter the obstacle in front of you. But the hammer only creates far more wreckage and sharp debris. I invite you to try something radically different and incredibly brave. Step back. take a deep breath. Observe the muddy, turbulent water of your own frantic mind. When a quiet forest pool of water is murky and deeply clouded with dark dirt, how do you clear it? You certainly cannot reach your hands into the water and furiously try to pull the tiny particles of dirt out with your fingers. Your anxious, frantic, grasping hands will only stir up far more dark mud from the bottom of the pool. The only truly effective way to clear muddy water is to simply leave it alone. You must sit quietly by the calm edge of the pool, wrap a warm blanket around your shoulders, and simply wait. Over time, gravity does the vital work. The dark dirt slowly and inevitably settles to the soft bottom on its own, and the water naturally becomes crystal clear, perfectly reflecting the vast, peaceful sky above it. Your mind, your deep anxieties, your terribly entangled life problems work in the exact same beautiful way. When you stop violently interfering, when you stop constantly poking at your open emotional wounds and agonizing over every single tiny detail, the natural clarity returns entirely on its own. This profound concept of non-force does not mean you suddenly become weak or entirely passive. It does not mean you simply lie down in the cold dirt and let the cruel world walk all over your tired body. That is a tragic misunderstanding born entirely of deep-seated fear. Effortless action is, in fact, the absolute highest form of active participation. It is the absolute razor-sharp focus of an experienced sailor who does not foolishly try to manually blow wind into the enormous sails of their ship from their own lungs, but instead patiently and intelligently studies the shifting weather, waits quietly for the turning breeze, and then gently angles the heavy canvas just right to catch the invisible, massive power of the moving air. That lone sailor effortlessly moves across thousands of kilometers of deep, dangerous ocean, using immense earthly power, yet personally exerting almost zero physical force. The vast ocean does the incredibly heavy lifting. The strong wind naturally provides the endless momentum. The quiet sailor simply aligns their vessel with what is already dynamically happening around them. You can easily do this in your own complicated life starting today. Start carefully noticing the natural momentum of the complex situations happening around you. Where is there intense, painful resistance? Where are you aggressively forcing an outcome that clearly does not want to happen? Stop violently hacking against the natural grain of your life. If a difficult conversation feels like a violent, exhausting tug of war over a muddy pit, simply open your hands and drop the heavy rope. The very moment you let go, the awful tension instantly vanishes into thin air. If a demanding project or a personal goal feels exactly like pushing a massive stone boulder up a freezing, slippery mountain, pause for a moment. Sit down on the damp grass. Look around the immense landscape. Perhaps there is a quiet, hidden path winding gently around the side of that intimidating mountain. Perhaps you are not meant to move that specific boulder at all. Finding the path of action without force requires profound, unwavering trust. It requires you to bravely believe that you absolutely do not have to nervously micromanage the entire universe for it to safely support your existence. As you begin to gently loosen your tired fingers and slowly release that intensely tight, painful grip on the steering wheel of your life, I would love for you to subscribe to the Psyche Unfolding channel so we can continuously navigate these beautiful, quiet, inner transformations together. Let us softly move into the warm light of this profound new understanding. Gently close your tired eyes for a moment, or simply soften your heavy gaze towards the floor. Feel the incredible, dense, crushing weight of the endless responsibilities you have been needlessly dragging around for so many years. The desperate need to fix everyone around you. The impossible need to perfectly predict every single future outcome. The agonizing, relentless pressure to be entirely perfect and completely in control of a terrifyingly uncontrollable world. Visualize that terrible burden right now as a massive, rigid, iron structure you have been desperately holding up above your head with entirely exhausted, trembling arms. Now just let it fall. Let it violently crash to the ground beside you. You do not need to hold the heavy sky up anymore. The vast sky is perfectly capable of holding itself. Notice how your shallow breathing instantly changes and deepens when you finally accept the beautiful truth that some things are simply beyond your forcing. You can finally drop your tense, aching shoulders. You can gently unclench your sore jaw. The dark storm outside your window may still be raging loudly. The dark, freezing waves might still be crashing violently against the black cliffs, but you are absolutely no longer out there in a fragile, broken wooden boat, desperately trying to fight the massive hurricane with a single shattered oar. You are now sitting quietly inside a warm, incredibly solid stone lighthouse, safely watching the dark storm through a thick glass window, completely knowing deep in your bones that it will eventually pass. The sharp, biting anxiety that has been burning in your tired chest like a red-hot piece of coal slowly begins to cool down. It gently turns to soft, harmless grey ash. You slowly begin to realize that waiting is actually a profound action. Deep silence is an incredibly powerful response. Absolute stillness is a massive, transformative movement. By doing absolutely nothing out of sheer panic, you are actually doing exactly what needs to be done to finally heal. You are finally allowing the gentle, invisible current of life to catch you and carry you gracefully forward. Feel the incredible, overwhelming relief of simply stepping out of your own way. You are absolutely no longer the massive obstacle in your own path. You have become entirely fluid like deep water. You are entirely yielding, and therefore you absolutely cannot be broken by anything. A rigid, dead, stubborn branch easily snaps in half during the high winter wind, but the living, flexible, green reed beautifully bends all the way down to the wet earth, perfectly rise back up toward the warm gale, only to gently rise back toward the warm sun when the fierce wind finally dies down. Be that flexible reed. Safely yield to the inevitable moments of pain. Gracefully bend under the heavy pressure without violently fighting it, and you will quickly find that you easily snap back up into the warm light without suffering a single permanent fracture. Your long, exhausting, invisible war is finally over, simply because you have bravely decided to turn around and walk away from the bloody battlefield. The incredibly heavy backpack has finally slid off your bruised shoulders and hit the soft forest floor with a quiet, dull thud. You are miles away from it now, walking incredibly light, walking entirely free, moving effortlessly forward with an open, healing heart and perfectly empty, peaceful hands, profoundly and beautifully in tune with the quiet, eternal rhythm of the vast world.